Okay, I'm not entirely sure if this is live, but if it is, welcome. This is Eric Rosen. I'm back for another live stream on Lichess. And I was actually about to host a simul, but then I realized that when I do host a simul, it displays my standard rating, which is very, very low. So I'm going to play a few standard games, hopefully get my rating at least above 2000. And I think I just gained 84 points because my opponent forgot to move or was just too intimidated. So that's nice. Over 1700 now. Uh, we'll see how many games it takes to break 2000. I think this is just 10-minute chess, no increment. And I've been playing a lot of bullet chess, so it's going to be weird to actually have some time to think and kind of talk through the moves. With this line, I do like taking the pawn on c5 because there's a very tricky move. If he takes on c5 with the bishop, I have knight e4. And this confuses a lot of people, so we'll see how he responds. I've had a ton of bullet games which have gone just like this with bishop e7, knight d6, and I'm instantly getting the bishop pair and a very annoying queen on d6. So actually, if we go back, just to explain for whoever's watching, I can see that there is no one watching right now. Is that true? Refreshing the page. Oh, there's two people watching. One of them is me. So, for the one person out there who's watching, if you ever get this position as black, the best move is knight f6. I don't know if I can draw an arrow, but the idea would be if knight takes e5, queen a5 check, and then black does give up the bishop pair, but gets very reasonable development and good center with the two center pawns. Anyway, plays queen e7. I'm going to play bishop f4. And really just the idea is to reinforce d6. Queenside castle next move. And if I can keep a piece on d6, whether it be a bishop or a queen, he's going to have a very hard time completing development. So at this point, I can kind of just sit back and relax. Let's see if there's any comments in the chat. I don't think I'm actually watching live. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so I'm the only one watching right now. What I'll probably do is upload this to YouTube just to get kind of a more consistent stream of videos. And then for whoever is out there who enjoys my content, they can go back and watch this later. So really, I'm talking to those who might be watching this on YouTube at a later point. Knight c6, I don't think really does too much. I'm just going to queenside castle. I think maybe it would have been better for him to play knight f6. Now he has some idea of knight e4. So the first move that pops into mind is just f3. I'm stopping knight e4. But then the next question is, can I allow knight e4 and set up some trap in some way or create some counterattack? Don't know if it's possible. Knight e4 is kind of an annoying move too. Queen take e7, knight take e7. He's threatening d5. Okay, let's play f3. And if he doesn't do anything, then I'm just going to play like e4 and some sort of developing moves like bishop c4, knight e2, and just really pose a question to see what he's doing. Now he might play e5 here, which looks somewhat reasonable. Actually, maybe something I forgot about. Knight d5, also a move. So if I play bishop to g3, which is like one of the more natural moves, he has knight e3, which is very annoying. He has knight e3 in a lot of cases. If I move my bishop back. And it might be that white doesn't have like a huge advantage here. I'm actually leaning towards just queen take e7, bishop d2, and then just hold on to the two bishops for later. Should maybe consider rook take d5. Rook take d5, take. Oh, let's play positionally. Not going to take too many risks. I feel like that's a common mistake like a lot of players would make. They would maybe try and over push and try too hard to prove their advantage with a move like rook take d5. But here I can be relatively certain that white still has at least a small edge. Two bishops, e4 coming with tempo. The half-open d file is also nice because the d pawn is somewhat of a long-term weakness. Even though it's not technically a backwards pawn, it's going to have a hard time advancing forward. Let's play bishop b4. It's weird, I've moved my dark squared bishop just so many times, but it is being annoying for him in some regard. I wanted to play bishop b5, but he has a6. See how to develop. I would love to get a knight on d6, but it takes a ton of moves, and the only way to get there is via c4 or b5. Okay, I'll play knight to e2. What I was trying to do is like come up with some ideal setup for white, and I was envisioning like the knight coming to c3 and then eventually either knight b5 or bishop e5. d5 is a little bit surprising, so I thought opening the center should be bad for his king, but maybe not. Okay, let's play knight c3. And if he takes on e4, I have bishop b5, and okay, there should be a lot of counterplay. It's based on intuition. So I see there's one person watching. If you have any questions, feel free, because I think there's a lot of downtime in these standard games. I'll go ahead, play bishop b5 with tempo. And now I'm starting to calculate, because now there's some potential forcing lines coming up. For example, bishop take e7. If he takes on b5, I take on f6, so that wins a piece. So bishop take e7, king take e7, take on c6, rook takes c6. I'm just winning a pawn, I think. And d5 drops in the end. And I should start playing a bit quicker, but this is a pretty low-risk way of playing. Just putting my pieces on good squares, waiting for my opponent to give me something free. And then it's a matter of converting the technical rook ending. pretty sure I can pre-move this. Throw in rook e1 check. Yeah, this is actually a good kind of practical ending to show how to win, because sometimes it's not that obvious, like how white wins with just one extra pawn when there's no passed pawns. In this case, it should be maybe a bit easier than normal, because I was going to say my rook can get to the 7th rank, but maybe that's not the case. Yeah, let's trade rooks. Okay, so we'll go with the strategy here of pushing on the side where I have the majority, which is on the queen side. I don't think he has a threat of rook e2. Let's start with c4. If rook e2, rook d2. And the long-term idea is just keep pushing the queenside pawns, and his king is always cut off. His king can never enter the d-file, which means that I should be able to, well, now after the rook trade, it's just very easily winning. This is it's actually a common mistake among a lot of players. They'll trade down to a king pawn ending, not realizing how easily winning it is. And the strategy here for white was the same as last time, just create a passed pawn on the queen side. But with no more rooks, it's impossible for black to create any sort of counterplay. Play f4. Just a matter of closing down the king side. Start with c5. And yeah, for those who are watching on Twitch, if you guys have any questions, if you have, I don't know, anything you want me to explain or answer in terms of anything chess related, feel free to ask. I'm kind of just doing this as a test for today. And then if it works out and I get some interest, I might do this on a more regular basis. Okay, so I think the easiest way to win this position is to stalemate him, but not actually stalemate him because he has one move. And then I'll promote with mate. Promote to rook. Okay. Yeah, so overall, I think that was a pretty smooth game. I thought maybe I should have a bigger advantage in the opening. I'm not entirely sure if there's much else I can do differently. Bishop f4 seems most logical. Maybe I could have played e4 sooner. E4 here. And then that prevents this whole knight d5 idea. And then just gets me more space from a bit earlier on. But if we go forward, I think one of the biggest mistakes he made was opening the center when his king, and also like his minor pieces, they were all kind of somewhat vulnerable. I had a lot of pressure in this position in the center, and my pieces were just better placed for the center opening up. So, yeah, smooth game. It would have been nice if he didn't trade rooks to show like how white wins this ending, but it's pretty simple. If black plays rook to e1, I would start marching pawns, eventually play c5, and then just make sure that his rook can't be too annoying. Maybe put a pawn in h3, make sure everything's defended. So anyway, play at least one more game. I see there's 3 people watching. two of which are not me. Feel free, comment in the chat. I would like to know like who you guys are, where you guys are from, what your chess level is. My goal with this is to kind of cater to whoever's watching. So if there's strong players watching, I'll speak at maybe a higher level. But if there's beginners watching, then I can certainly explain at a more basic level too. I've gained 207 points by just playing one game. It's the first game my opponent didn't show up. I don't think I've ever played in a classical tournament before. So that was just my third-rated classical game. It seems like it's much slower paced than these bullet tournaments that I usually play in. I usually play Sicilian, but against weaker players, I find that it's easier to win quickly with e4, e5, especially when queen h5 is played. Now the standard move here is knight c6 and just knight c6, bishop c4, g6, not get mated. I'm going to play a gambit, knight f6. Allowing queen take e5, but I think I've seen this once before, and I'm pretty sure black gets some decent compensation. And I'm not scared of bishop h6 because I have at least knight e8. Let's play rook e8. My goal is just to open the center. I play d5 and try and make use of my very big lead in development. And I should note that if he plays e5 here, I just take it. It's e5, knight take e5, queen take e5. I would have had bishop b4 check, but maybe with c3, maybe his plan is to play e5. Let's see here. So if I play d5, he plays e5. I take, he takes. I don't think there's any great discoveries. Which is kind of annoying. So he's also threatening to play e5. And if I play d5, e5, knight d7, he has d4. And maybe this opening wasn't as great as I thought it would be. There is an interesting move here, bishop to c5, because he can't play d4 right away. And then I'm threatening d5. Now let's go for this. Yeah, it's in a position like this X-ray vision against the king is really important. And if I can open the e-file before he castles, it can be very strong. So for example, if he just does something normal like knight f3 here, I would play d5, and then after take, for example, knight take, his bishop would be would be a major target, and the only thing defending it would be the king. So let's go for d5. Wow, d4. I really want to sack more. So bishop take d4, pawn take d4, knight take d4. Could take on e4 first. So bishop take d4, pawn take d4, knight take d4, threatening knight c2. If he tries to defend c2, he has a move like queen c3. I have a good feeling that black has a lot of compensation. I'll go for this. And against a player like this, I'm not too scared taking a risk. Even if it doesn't work out and I don't win right away, I'll have at least some some kind of longer term compensation. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, his king is still stuck. I'm expecting queen c3 here. And after queen c3, I'd probably have a choice. I could take on e4 with the pawn. I could play c5. I could take on e2, then take on e4. I think it's really important to have maybe a different sort of mindset in this position. Rather than thinking about like how to kill him, I just have to figure out how to prevent him from completing development. So after a move like queen c3, I would probably just take on e4, and d take e4, because then it's very unclear how he finishes developing any sort of his pieces. Queen d3, I think it's similar. I'll go ahead and take. I mean, queen d3 I think was just worse because now it comes with tempo. And probably the best move for him is queen c3 here. Okay, so now the question is, what do I want to do? Or maybe the more important question is, what does he want to do and how do I stop it? I really have no idea what he wants to do. Maybe a move like knight b3. Try and trade off that knight. So I'm wondering if I can create some threats and also improve the position. Let's just ignore that for one moment. Looking at e3 here, e3, pawn take e3, rook take e3. It's kind of generating some tactics. I like it. I think it took me longer than usual to find this move because I was thinking about prophylaxis rather than just pure offense. I've accomplished my goal of opening the e-file, and he just, I don't know if this is a blunder, maybe it was the best try for him. Because after king f2, knight take e3, king take e3, he still has a good amount of material for the queen. And it's still not trivial how I win. Some part of me wants to play knight g4 first. Let's take the queen, though. So it's a really odd material imbalance. It's this is queen and two pawns for rook, bishop, and knight. But his king is on e3, the most active piece. If I play c5, threatening queen d4, he plays knight b3. Then I'd probably develop the bishop or something. Let's play c5. Oh, then he has knight f3. Then I have knight g4. He's almost getting mated. Yeah. Yeah, so if he plays knight f3 stopping queen d4, I have knight g4, and looks like a pretty nice mating net. If he plays knight b3, I would probably play like bishop e6 or something. Okay, king f2. Let's play queen d4. I'm going to just go for the kill. If he plays whatever king move he plays, I'll probably play. I was hoping for king f1 to play knight d5. Knight d5, now he has knight f3. Let's throw in another check. I think he has g3. Okay, change of plans. I should really develop. And that's the type of move I play without even calculating, because I realize that if I get a rook to e8 anytime soon, it should be very, very deadly. Now the line to calculate here would be knight f3, and then figure out where the queen wants to move. Knight gf3. If I play queen e3 as knight c4, kind of annoying. I see I have a comment, which I'll read after I make my next move. Yeah, let's just play queen d5. From Russia with love, from Ulyana K. Okay, so I know you were watching the last stream too. I like chess, but barely understand it, and I'm in so much pain because of it. Thanks for your stream. Nice to look at them win them all. I have to be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Wow, still my opponent's move. Didn't really waste any time. That's what happens when the grandma calls. I mean, if this were like a high level or grandmaster game, it's still not entirely clear if black is better. I'll just throw in queen d3, threatening mate. I think he has to play rook f2. So I have to move my bishop. Yeah, I think he's surviving here. After king f1, he's gonna have to. I'm gonna have to move my queen back. He might actually succeed in somehow finishing development. Let's play queen c2. Keep it a little bit weird. It might be that I'm just going, or I'm still trying to go for paralysis, where just trying to be annoying enough where he can't figure out how to to complete the rest of his development. He's very limited on squares here for most of his pieces. I'm looking at a move like knight c4, but that runs into rook take e2. Bishop c4, I was secretly hoping for this, but I didn't think it would actually happen. Now it's just mate next move. Can pre-move queen take e1. And unfortunately for the one person watching, which is probably Ulyana K, unless someone else tuned in. This is going to be my last game, and I have to go very soon. But I will give a quick recap. If we go all the way back, I played a lot more ambitiously than normal, and I played probably in a bit more dubious manner because my opponent was weaker, and I was simply trying to win quickly. And usually, in order to do that in chess, sometimes you have to play moves which aren't objectively the best, and that's sort of what happened. I probably had the worst position here, but we got in a situation where it wasn't easy for White to find the right kind of consolidating moves, and he was a little bit slow to develop. And actually, for even at the very end of the game, he wasn't completed with development, and it did take this risk. But it was a fun game. Yeah, this e3 move was nice. And this position was kind of funny, but I mean, looking back on it, I don't know if I would be that comfortable here against like a strong player, knowing that if White doesn't get mated and brings out the rest of the pieces, Black could easily just be worse here. But okay, thankfully I was playing someone who was prone to blundering, and the game ended. I think 25 moves can still be considered a miniature. So, okay, I'll leave it at that. Thanks for whoever in the world was watching at any point during the stream. I'll probably end up uploading this to YouTube, and then just try to start advertising my Twitch channel a bit more. Anyway, take care. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.